look for Michelle here and see if I can find her. Let's have a look. Here we go. Control room. I am going to double check. Are we online? Can you see anything at the moment?
10 seconds to go.
10 seconds to go. All right. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I believe we are live. So I'm going to, first of all, look for... Okay, that means we're live for sure. All right, let me take my key thing here, which is echoing at me, and we're going to see if we can get that going. All right. I'm turning off this one here. I'm going to double check. Are we online? Can you see anything at the moment? 10 seconds to go. All right. Okay. Welcome, everyone. I believe we are live. So I'm going to, first of all, look for... Okay, I'm just going to sure. All right, let me take my... We're muting. Hey, Shane, can you give me a hand for a second? Because I'm on and we're here, but I need to find Michelle. All right, Shane's on. This is Shane, by the way. He's helping with all the technical side of things. All right, so we got 43 already joined, and we just got started, and we've also got the guys joining us on YouTube, and we have Michelle hidden somewhere, right? So I want to find Michelle. Let's have a look. What do you reckon? We're in the control panels. There is no Michelle showing up. You're on my main,
and then click on the Skype. If you Skype, give it that link, and you just click on that link on that view.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You reckon that works?
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, I'm giving you our Skype link here. Let's see if that works. See if you can get that. So it's in your Skype. And if she comes in this one, you reckon that's going to work? Okay. All right. We'll see if this works, Michelle. If not, did you check it out when you give the invite, someone else can just join? Okay. Hey, everyone, hang in there. We're about to get rolling. We have a really awesome session coming up all about how to work from anywhere. I'm going to see if I can get Michelle to come and join us right now. But at the moment, there is no link coming up for this. So I might actually just jump right into this unless we can actually figure out how to get Michelle onto it. Let's see what Michelle's saying here. I'm on, but can't get sound. Interesting. Okay. Well, on the control room at the moment, Michelle, you're not showing up in the control room. So there's actually no way for me to actually get you on at the moment. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably, I'm probably going to, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to actually Skype you in. So I've got Sandra here as well, and we're going to actually get you on Skype at the moment so we can hear you. We won't be able to see you, but actually we're not going to see you anyway. But it also means that any particular links you want to give, you can be posting them in as well. And rather than using Skype now, let's move over to the YouTube page, which is this one here. So you can kind of post things in there, and I'll be looking into those as well. And for anyone else, comments, questions, you can be posting them all into this as well, right? So that is a link to the YouTube. But basically, we obviously aren't able to get you onto. So just if you are able to Skype through to Sandra's line right now, and Sandra is going to get you on, and then we're going to get a conversation started with everyone. And then I'm going to move over to my slides as well. And if everyone's wondering where I am, right now I am in Bali, and we have got our iLab running next door. And we have Shane, who's kind of multitasking as we go as well. For everyone who's on the call right now, you're probably looking at this via either Google Hangouts or via YouTube. Take this link, which is right here, and it's on YouTube right now. So take this link, and what I'll do is I will open up the page for you so that you've got a page. If you're on the Google Hangout page, maybe if Suraj, you can actually post the link which is on there right now as well. And what I'll do is I'll just get the Google Plus page open and give you the link as well. Actually, I put it up there already. So if you're on Google Hangout, you will, or even on Google Plus, you'll see that there is a link which is on the page to the YouTube page, and you can post your comments. Michelle just posted that as well, so you can actually post straight onto that chat. We're going to be taking questions. I'm going to be sharing a whole bunch of different things which are around how you can be running your business from anywhere. And we're going to have Michelle. Is Michelle on right now? Hey, Michelle, are you there? No, let's get the microphone out. The headphone. Oh, there we go. Test. 1, 2, 3. Hey, Michelle. Maybe, tell me when you've got her on mic. Okay, so while we're getting Michelle on, okay, this is interesting. While we're getting Michelle on, what I'm going to do to get started is see if I can share my screen. So let's try this. Screen share, I'm going to give you this screen here. So you should now be able to see the screen there. And you will see at the moment, I have got my slide up on 5 steps of redesign your life and work from anywhere. And what I'm going to be doing to get started here is I'm going to be sharing with you a couple of different things around our experiences and how they work when it comes to the biggest challenge that we see people have, especially when it comes to whatever business you're running right now or whatever business you want to start. And the big question, well, how do I do this so I can actually travel around the world where I can kind of head anywhere I want, do anything I want as well. And I started with this little caption here, this little cartoon, you know, opportunity to pursue other options, next exit. And I wanted to start with this because this isn't the first time you would have heard someone talk about the fact that you can kind of like work from anywhere. In fact, Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, was like super successful as one of the earlier books around the fact that we can kind of like, you know, have this freedom to be able to work from anywhere. So this one here is really about what's so different about what I'm about to share, given that there's so many people out there who've shared it, and you probably even tried certain things, and some of them are successful, some of them aren't. You know, you probably tried things like, how do I automate my business? You probably tried things like, well, how do I actually outsource the things I want to outsource? Or how do I even repackage it so I'm online? You know, so a whole different set of series like this as well, right? So what I'm going to get to is I'm going to get to the biggest excuses that people, or the biggest reasons that people are challenged and can't find the right way, even after following all these different paths. And I'm sharing it from the point of view that what we're doing and where we are is 100% as a result of us seeing people every single month coming through our Resort Accelerator in Bali. This year, I'll be presenting to about 10,000 entrepreneurs around the world for our Fast Forward events. We've got at the moment around 250,000 people who are on our Genius U platform, or entrepreneurs around the world, where those who follow the 5 steps I'm about to share with you, it's not a matter of, you know, whether you end up basically being able to actually build a business you can work from anywhere. It really is a matter of when. In the same way that if you wanted to drive a car, or if you wanted to learn to play the guitar, or if you wanted to learn how to, you know, speak Japanese, whatever it is that you want to do, there's no question that there is a pathway and a step-by-step you can do to actually get there as well, right? So that's really part of the key to this too, okay? So let me just double check, because before I jump into this, I want to see if we actually have a chance to get Michelle on. Do you have Michelle on at the moment?
Hang on, Michelle.
We're going to give this a go.
Yeah.
Michelle, are you there? Michelle? Any Michelle? Test, 1, 2, 3. No, Michelle. Oh, Michelle, you are here. Wow. Can you hear me okay?
Well, I can hear you through 2 things now.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's because you're probably listening to me on the video as well. But I'm speaking to you on Skype at the moment. So if you muted the video, then I'll be able to hear you. Are you with me, Michelle?
Go on. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So Michelle, we obviously have had some technical challenges getting started this morning. Do you want to just share the kind of key things you wanted to cover with everyone, given that you're hosting the call and I've kind of just jumped into the whole presentation already, basically?
Yeah, so I wanted to welcome Roger and introduce you to everybody this morning. So that's good. So apologies everyone on the technical side for me. And it's really interesting because we're doing this whole session this morning on work from anywhere in the world, and that's exactly what we'll do. We're all in different locations. I'm here in Perth.
Michelle's in Perth right now.
So I'd love to be sharing with everyone later on how they can actually get connected up and find out more about what we're doing with our Fast Forward business event. So I'm going to be sharing about that probably about halfway through this call this morning, actually.
Okay, so I'll bring you on about halfway through again, right?
That'd be great.
Yeah, okay.
Because I think people want to see how they can get connected up with you while you're here in Australia doing the March tour we've got going on.
All right, okay, awesome. All right, we'll do that. Thank you, Michelle. All right.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, so here is the biggest things that people end up sharing. I'm going to share my screen again so you can kind of see what I was just showing there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share, this might look a bit weird to begin with, I'm going to share my entire screen for a moment so you can kind of see everything that I've got on here. And here we go. All right, wow, okay, so that's gone a bit wild. All right, so what I wanted to share was not just this screen here, but I wanted to share a couple of links with you as well, okay? So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. And as you can see here, what I'll be doing as well is I'll be refreshing on the Q&A on the questions. So if there are questions that come up, we're going to pop up some of these. I'm going to get Michelle to help out on some of them as well. So there's a bunch of you who are kind of like starting to post things and so on, and Michelle's on here as well. So Michelle, if you want to kind of add comments, you can do that too, and they'll pop up too. All right, so this next one is basically making sure that you're linking with us, okay? So coming to this one here, talking about the different things that we're doing, there's a number of different links that really are that background and history to all the things I'm about to share right now as well. The first one is this link here, which is our main page for Entrepreneurs Institute. So if you haven't yet had a look at this page, it actually goes through our entire philosophy, which has allowed us to be able to build what is now one of the largest entrepreneur networks in the world. And we're in about 30 different countries. And in each country, there are groups that meet up, and there's groups that connect with each other, and they come along for the events that we have, and they also have practitioners and consultants who are supporting them in a number of different products and things that we have as well. You know, there's an element to everything that we do, which is the experience, right? Because at the end of the day, it is about shifting your experience. So I'm right now here, which is Vision Villas Resort, right? And I'll put these links in afterwards. So if you miss any of these links as we go, in fact, why don't I just do that right now? I'm just going to just post them in, and hopefully they'll show up, okay? Hopefully they will. Also share on Google+. We'll see if this works or not. And then also, as well as us having this link here on Vision Villas, we have many of you who've taken the Wealth Dynamics test, which is all about finding your profile. So I'm just going to give you a bunch of links right now, and hopefully they'll show up. We also have got Talent Dynamics, which is, here's Michelle, and this is the company that Michelle runs, which is the corporate side of what we do. And Michelle right now is in Perth. I mean, she basically has been based in the UK. She's a perfect example of being able to work from anywhere, and she has a network around the world which allows her to do that. And we're going to talk about the whole different models that are out there as well, which allow you to do this. In fact, she just launched this here, the Australian Trust Awards, which is currently taking place as well. And I'm just posting a bunch of these down until they stop posting it because they think it's a spam, right? And this is our event that we've got running at the moment as well. I go traveling a lot, right? So for example, this April, I'll be on Necker Island with Richard Branson. I was last a couple of weeks ago with Peter Demandis in Los Angeles, looking at the future trends as part of Abundance 360. I was also in Maui as part of TLC, which is the Transformational Leadership Council. And so the things I'm sharing with you on this call isn't just some theory or some speaker on stage or someone basically just saying, here's some ideas and thoughts that I haven't actually tried. These are all things we actually do ourselves, and it's off the experience of watching others do them too, and what works, and more importantly, what doesn't work, because there's a lot of information out there, which is frankly the wrong information of what doesn't work out there at the moment as well. And we have also this coming up, which is something that we really recommend. This is Vishen's company, Awesomeness Fest is part of Mind Valley, and this is happening in, the next one's Croatia, and there's ones happening also in different parts of the world now, which are all ways that you can connect up with different entrepreneurs who are going through exactly the same things that we're going through right now as well. So if you haven't yet gone to the YouTube channel, go ahead. I'll put the rest of these links up here as well, but go ahead and basically subscribe to the channel, follow along on here, and we'll be taking questions in the latter part of the call. The 5 elements, I'm going to go through, first of all, the first a couple before our little break halfway through, which are all about how you set yourself up for success. And then I'm going to go into the detail with success stories and examples of how you do it in the second half, okay? So we're going to go through both elements together. And what I wanted to do to start with is make sure everyone's following along. So you can see on my screen here, we have got the Twitter hashtag, FFYB2015. So you can use that Twitter hashtag if you're on Twitter. You can also go to my Facebook page, Roger James Hamilton, and link with me there if you haven't done that already. And then also, as I just mentioned on YouTube here, this is the YouTube channel where we're putting up every single week a bunch of different tools, and I'm giving you like some different kind of like steps and ideas as we go along here as well, right? So let's start with the biggest reasons that you probably have seen already that people think it's possible to be able to grow your business around the world, and how we look at things differently. Here's a usual scenario, right? So just think for a moment, what here do you feel is familiar to you, right? You went on some program or you read some book which said if you can start an automatic online business that you don't have to run, you're going to get cash flow coming in every single month, not going to have to worry about it, you can go out traveling, right? And maybe you've even tried that, maybe you've had a limited success doing it, but even if you are successful, because we have online businesses, I can tell you, it doesn't mean they don't still need to be managed in some way. It doesn't mean that we can just leave it and years later we're still going to be making the same money, right? Because things change and patterns change. So it's not as simple as just saying, just set one up and you'll be fine. Similarly, building and selling a business and retiring early is another thing people say, and then you end up getting stuck in a business when the day you thought you're going to be able to sell it, it's not happening. And then you have to stay in it and you're stuck with something that frankly you didn't start for the right reasons in the first place. Or thirdly, you've been told to start an investment portfolio. Maybe it is in futures, maybe it's in property, but in something which is now where you're kind of like going through the motions of what you're told to do, and it's simply not so easy. And the reason is that none of these are guaranteed to work. You're going to have always a small percentage of people who make it work, the vast percentage of people who don't. And frankly, that's the same in anything you try, whether it's starting a business, whether it's getting involved in network marketing, whether it's trading in the stock market. You're always going to have some people who do really well and the majority who don't. And that's just how everything works, because it's not about what it is that the system does well, it's what you do well, which is a very, very different thing. So what we're going to go through here is examples of a very different way to do it, but in a way which gets you to the result. And I want to give you a couple of different examples of people who have gone through these 5 steps, and just the difference on the kind of companies that they run, where you'll see that they don't actually really fit into any of the top 3 that we're talking about here, right? So I'll just give you a couple of examples and I'll go into more detail later. Right, here's example number 1. Example number 1 is Donna. So Donna works with us, right? And Donna also has her own business, which is called Live It Up. And Donna is also one of our facilitators here at our iLab in Bali. So here is her site, right? Donna has a company called Live It Up. This might look very similar to someone who you know who's a coach, who's a mentor. You know, they've got a kind of like a system. They've got a way that you can kind of like enter your details in. They've got their Facebook page, all those different things that we're taught to do. But the reality is Donna doesn't actually make most of her money from her own coaching business. She makes most of her money from her partnerships. So she has a partnership with us, for example, and as a result of that, she's got this, ability to travel around the world, connect with other people. You know, she was in England, America last year. She is this year going to be in different parts of the world because that's where we're going to be. And she's partnering with us, and she's overseeing our entire consultant training for our Wealth Dynamics site. And that was just through the partnerships we created. She has partnerships in Australia as well, where she also generates income from all of that. But all of it is linked to her personal brand and, more importantly, what she personally wants to do. So that's one example of someone who's freed up their time where she can live from anywhere, but she's not generating revenues the way that if someone says, look, I make all my money online, here's how it works, or I make more of my money coaching. That's not actually what she's doing. Here's a second example. This is Monty. So Monty, who is part of our network, he was a coach and a trainer, and he found that it was really difficult for him to get the things he wanted to get outsourced. So he then got connected to someone in the Philippines who ended up getting to partnership with him. One thing led to another, and over the last 2 years, he's built this company called EasyVA, which is an outsourcing solution, which now serves people who are just like him. You know, all these companies down here, many of these people are our network who've now become his customers. These are people who are all using his tools, and more importantly, you know, he's even Donna, who's actually using, his products and his team to be able to outsource all the things that they want to do. And for him, he's now able to travel around the world. He comes to Bali a lot, and he can really work from anywhere because he's built this up. Now, he's got a service business with a team that is based in the Philippines. Very, very different from Donna's business. Here's a third example, right? So here, I love this example here. This is Nick Metcalf, who's based in the UK. And he just came up with this idea of having these lava stones that would be stake stones. So this is a product now. Again, very different kind of company. He's built this in such a way that he can now travel around the world. I mean, the last couple of times I've spoken to him, because he's part of my mentoring group. He was in Dubai, he was back in the UK, he's been over, traveling into Asia. He's going to all different parts of the world, in America, because he's got a business and a number of different teams in different countries based on a product that he has, where he can really travel to anywhere. And he's got systems and teams in place which allow the business to run even when he's not there as well, right? So the sales will keep coming in, revenues keep generating, and it's product-based. And a final example, so here is Megazip, which is in Singapore. And this is Alex Blythe, who himself is an adventurer. He's gone trekking to the South Pole. He was in the army, like his whole life. In fact, the whole inspiration of actually doing this, big Megazips and ropes courses, which is now on Sentosa, where he has over 100,000 people a year coming through this. All of that was inspiration that came from his training in the army when he was at Sandhurst, and they had all these ropes courses. He runs something called the Commando Challenge in Singapore, but he also travels. One of his phone calls to our team, he was actually on the top of some mountain in England. He's now going down to Adelaide, where they've got a new one of these getting set up. And again, he's got a team that's running a whole bunch of different things, using, again, the same strategies we went through. You'll notice that none of these four, whether it's a coaching company, whether it is a service company, whether it is a product company, whether it's a location company, none of them, you would say, follow the same formula that I shared in this slide here. But all of them follow the same 5 steps we're now going to go through. So here's step number 1. Step number 1 is get connected. The number of people I see where they get started, and they get started by almost like thinking they're going to clean the room by getting a vacuum cleaner in the middle of the room and then blaming the vacuum cleaner for not being on, right? It's like, I'm going to have a business that can let me go for anywhere, but it's not connected to flow. Of course, if you want to actually get a room clean, you don't start by going and putting the vacuum cleaner where it can't reach the plug hole, right? You start with basically getting the plug and putting it in the socket. And so the key here is, how do you get connected to others who already are doing all of this? It's normal to have a mobile global business when everyone else around you has one too. So if you're in a situation or in an environment at the moment where in your environment you are pretty much on your own out there, and you're actually out there at the moment trying to figure it out for yourself, and maybe you're watching some videos, maybe you're reading some books, but you're not every day in the right environment, then that's where you're really missing out on the opportunity to be able to get connected up with the people out there who are already doing this. Because at the end of the day, here's the truth of it. If you aren't in a position within the next 12 months through this first step to start your own thing up yet, guaranteed you will be in a position where you will know enough others that need your help in them doing what they're doing, where they're already running global mobile businesses that you can then be a part of as well, right? So this is all about getting connected in with the people out there who are doing it. Now, this wasn't so easy 10 years ago, because 10 years ago, there weren't that many networks of people that were out there doing this. Here's a global co-working census from 2013. Co-working has exploded around the globe. You can see here, this is 2013. If you add up the total number of co-working spaces where entrepreneurs who are looking to grow mobile businesses can work with each other, you can see it's not a lot, right? I mean, you're talking about maybe 2,000 in total. Well, have a look at this. I'm going to give you a couple of links here now. On this here, first of all, this first link is a link to the number of co-working spaces that have skyrocketed in the US. And this was midway through last year, where it's already grown massively from what was basically, as you can see here, it's gone 83% year on year from 2012, or 83% 2012, 2013. And over this period, you've actually gone, this is for the US, from like a handful of them to now more like over 1,000 today, right? More like a couple of thousand today. So this is the first element, which is that we're all getting connected in a very, very different way now. And let me just post some of these links in here so you got them. All right, so that is on the co-working. This here is a network you can get connected into. This is the Global Co-working Unconference, which is happening in California, but they've got a community. They've got one that's happening in Australia in June this year. You'll see there's a blog of all the latest co-working that's taking place. So if you're looking for people who are already doing what I'm sharing, this is where you're going to find them all. So I'll just give you that link as well. In fact, there was one that was just run by Hubud here in Bali, and that is something that happened here called Co-working Unconference Asia. That was the very first one that happened in Asia. It happened in January. It was only a month ago. And we had all of the different co-working people from around. Here's like from Thailand, from Singapore, from Philippines, from Bangladesh, South Korea, Indonesia, Australia, Cambodia, from all over. Everyone came in and got connected. And of course, wherever you want to travel to, you're going to find there's people like that who are out there as well. So key thing here is knowing if you get connected in, you're no longer thinking that what you're doing is going to be abnormal, right? Because everyone around you is already doing it. You see, there's this one here, which I just posted because it just came up this month. Africa is having its first co-working conference that's taking place. So if you're in Africa watching this, then go have a look at that. And if you're still thinking, well, I need more direct help, go to something like this. This is Share Desk. I'm going to give you 2 platforms where you can go find anywhere. Let's say, for example, you want to go to, I don't know, London, right? And you want to say, is there anywhere I can go work in London? You go have a look in London, find a space, and you're going to find that what shows up are all the people that have spaces for people who want to co-work, people who are already working with others. And this isn't just so you have a place to work. This is so that you actually have a community you're part of. So you can be part of the Hot Desking at Club workspace. So all of the main co-working spaces are in here. And if you're not part of one of these, then you're missing out on the opportunity to get connected into flow. Think of this being like your electric circuit, right? So let me just post a couple more and then I'll move on from this first step because I think you're getting it. This is DeskMag, which is the #1 community for co-working. It's like there's 300,000 people now, 6,000 co-working spaces around the world as of the end of last year. All the latest news, all the latest openings, all the latest trends is all on here, so you no longer feel alone. And finally, this I thought was definitely something to share with you. Startup Blink gives you every single spot around the world and all the co-working spots, right? So you can go to any part of the world, and as you can see here, let's say, for example, you wanted to go to, I don't know, China, right? And you said, okay, well, where, or maybe there's not so many people on this call from China, so let's try go down to, I don't know, maybe let's say New Zealand, right? So I go to New Zealand, and you can then go down to New Zealand and spot down in New Zealand all of the places down in New Zealand where you can actually go. Here's 25 in Auckland. You can click straight to Auckland, and then all of them show up in Auckland. And again, you can then go and actually choose which ones you want to be part of. And you can even just join their mailings and so on and get all the latest information, even without being there, and hear all the latest success stories and things that they're doing as well. We ourselves are connected in with many of them. We're also connected to Google for Entrepreneurs. We have our own co-working space here at iLab, and we also have a part of Startup Grind, where even if you just want to go to an event, this is Google for Entrepreneurs, almost like a link. It's like a cross between TED and Google for Entrepreneurs, and you can go to any particular country. So, for example, let's say you want to, look at the different events going on or watch the videos. You can come to here's all the ones from America and Canada. Here's all the ones in Asia. So here's Bali. This is us. Bangkok's there. Now, by the way, when we joined this, which was only maybe 6 months ago, this list was a very small list. So it's growing very, very quick. You're actually part of a big wave that's taking place when you're actually part of this as well, all right? So do go connect up. And if that's all you do from this call is just connect with others, it is already 1,000% more than following some strategy where you're trying to figure it out on your own, right? That #1 is the most critical first step that most people forget. Remember, Woody Allen says 80% of success is showing up, but it's showing up in the right place, not just for yourself, but where already all the context is there. All right, let's go on to step #1 in this whole idea of getting connected, right? I had this cartoon here. I'm feeling emotionally attached to my relationship. I mean, even for a cat. When we are not connected, what are we? We're disconnected. And when we're disconnected, it means it's like a light bulb that's disconnected as well. It's more than just not having context. We don't have the energy every day coming in and the opportunities coming in every day that we would have if we're actually within this environment of people already doing this. Okay, step #2. Step #2 is know yourself. So knowing yourself is more than just saying, I think I know what I'm passionate about. I think I know what I want in life. Knowing yourself is knowing and loving your best self, which is the person you're going to be. I have this cartoon here, like, hey, wait a minute, this is grass. We've been eating grass. This is like a Gary Larson cartoon where like you suddenly wake up and go, what on earth am I doing with my life? Like if you're at the moment living a life where you're thinking, well, I'm putting up with it because it's kind of like what I was educated to do, or it's what I was taught to do, or it's what everyone around me is doing. It's kind of like this wake-up call, which is like, well, it doesn't have to be this way. If I was being my best self today, the person that I see myself being in the future, that person who gets to travel, or that person who gets to spend more time with family, or that person who gets to have more time off, or whatever it is that you see for that person in the future and how they will be setting their standards for their life, if you're not designing your life today to suit that person, of course it's never going to happen. right? So this is about knowing and loving your best self and committing to aligning your life to ignite your genius. So this is about you designing your life in such a way that you're saying, okay, so I have now a roadmap of what I want it to look like, and that means that I'll have 3 days that I'm working, or it means that I'll be generating 5,000 in income every month, or it means that I'll be, traveling, for 3 months out of the year. Whatever it is that you're saying, this is what my life would look like, you're mapping that out. And we give you all the tools to do that, obviously, in Genius U. But this is one step which most people don't take. It's the first step when people come to iLab. It's the first step when people come for the Fast Forward event, is that you actually are not starting by saying, what's the car I need to get in or the plane I need to get in. It's actually starting by saying, is this what I want it to be doing? Instead of an exit strategy, which is what happens further up here, it's a success strategy. It's like, well, if I was running an automatic online business and it wasn't yet working, is it still my perfect life, right? If I am trying to invest in property and I still haven't made the income I wanted, is it still my perfect life? Has it already given me the lifestyle I want? Or is it kind of like the lifestyle has to go later? So you put lifestyle first. You put your lifestyle before your business. And if you do it in that way and you say, okay, how do I do that? I want to give you this free tool that some of you already are using. It's on Genius U. It allows you to take, we've teamed up with the guys from Passion Test. So we've actually got, you can find out your top passions really quickly. In terms of finding out your natural genius, you find out what you're naturally good at, right? So all of this is all part of the Genius U platform. And if you haven't yet been to Genius U, you can get connected up by just going, I'll just type it in here. And you'll see that all the tests are free. Everything that you do on there is free. But we have a network of over 250,000 people now who are on it, which means that you're going to be able to connect up with others. And you'll find that even in the coming months, you'll be able to click on something like environment and find all the other people who are passionate about the environment and what opportunities they're part of, right? Or maybe it's teaching, or maybe it's travel. And you'll find others that are linked to that as well. So you're aligning to people with the same passion, and then you're designing a business that actually allows you to do that. So this step number 2, which is about knowing yourself before you go out trying to chase the money or chase the opportunities, is absolutely critical. It's like someone learning a sport at school. It doesn't start by saying, well, what's the sport I'm most needed in, or what's the sport which actually is the most popular. It starts by saying, what's the sport which is best suited for me? Because for some people on this call, starting an online business is absolutely not best suited for you, right? For some of this call, going out there and networking with others is not best suited for you. For some of this call, going out and being really creative and having a better product is not best suited for you. But there are other things that are best suited for you. So you have to design your life around your skill sets, around your passions, and knowing what they are, and then knowing how that aligns with others is absolutely critical. Now, for a lot of people, they think, oh, that means I just got to be passionate. And the answer is no, because you don't make money by following your passion, right? You don't make money by doing what you love. I mean, you have fun by doing what you love. You love having a life that works for you when you love doing what you love. But I know a lot of people doing what they love, and the end point of doing what they love is that they end up in a situation where they have no money, right? And the reason for that is you don't get paid for doing what you love. No one's going to pay you for doing what you love. They're going to pay you for doing what they love. And that's a really important distinction, right? So the golden key here is that you're doing something which you get paid for because you're serving people in the way that they love to be served. And it happens to be the people you love to serve, which means that you end up doing what you love and they end up getting what they love. And then you make the money. Most of us only are doing one part if we're still struggling. And most of the time is that we're trying to do what we love and we haven't actually spent enough time on step number 3. So I'm just going to go through step number 3 very briefly here, and then I'm going to bring Michelle back on again. And then we're going to get into the meat of it in the second half, where I'm going to go through actual steps that you can take using not just these first 3 steps, but the next 2 already. And of course, I've already given you a number of links on the first step on connecting, the second one, knowing yourself as well. This step number 3 is the most critical to actually make the money. And I'm not giving you the how yet, right? This is not about the how. At this point, this is all about the why and the what, right? This number 3 is about the who, which is know your customer. What do I mean by know your customer? I mean, know and love your best customer, not the ones that are your customers today, not the ones that are keeping you stuck to a desk or stuck to a city. But if you could be traveling around the world doing what you want to do, if you could be living the life that you want to live, and you were to imagine, well, what would be the type of customer I would have at that point? What would be my ideal customer? How much would they be paying me? What would I be serving them with? Why would they be happy with me? Would they be complaining or would they be happy? Would they be bringing on other friends, or would they actually just be coming on board and then I'd have to go chase other people, right? So what is it you would say on that? That's the key. The other thing is that when you actually are thinking of it from the point of view of getting connected in. This image here, and again, it's all about the electric car government market, but it's exactly what happens to people as well. It's kind of, you can't even power up your business because the plug you're trying to put in the socket doesn't fit the socket. It's like, I wrote my book, no one wants to buy it. I got my coaching, no, I can't sell it. This is not about you having a product that you are trying to get people to buy what you're trying to sell. This is the opposite. This is you understanding the market enough that you know what they want to buy, and it's much easier to sell someone what they want to buy than it is to try and get people to buy what you're trying to sell, right? So don't start by getting the socket that doesn't fit. Start by actually checking out the socket, saying, well, what is the suitable socket that allows me to get power here, to get flow here? Now let's start by going out and getting something that links to that socket, right? So this is all about knowing your customer. And how do you know that? Well, you know your customer, the bigger your mission, the bigger your market, the easier life gets. And the vast majority of the market is now around the world. So the reason that I can travel around the world is that my market is all around the world. If my market was just here in Bali, I'd have a tough time traveling everywhere without automating it in a way that everyone can get served without me. But if people are used to getting served in a global way, just like this call here, we'll have some people in Bali, but the vast majority of people are from other parts of the world. So it's already set up and designed as a global business from day one. So when you start by saying, well, not only is my ideal customer someone who is interested in the same things I'm interested in, not only are they actually wanting to be served in the way that I know I can serve, but at the same time, they are all around the world, right? They're a global customer base, which means you can then get context from around the world as well. Again, don't worry about the how yet, right? We're not saying, is this an online business? Is this a location-based business? That actually isn't even important yet. What's important at this point is that you have actually started by saying, am I in the right context? Which means, have I actually set this up so that I'm actually going to create flow? Number two, do you know yourself? Which means, am I really clear what my North Pole is? And then do I know my customer, which is, am I really clear what my South Pole is? Once you've got your North Pole, your South Pole, magnetism just happens, right? Flow, connection just happens the moment that you've actually got those two polarities. And for most of us, we haven't focused enough on the things that are ideal customer and ideal situation ourselves. And that's why we end up getting stuck in a situation where we're following some strategy and we've got like an electric car that can't even plug in. Okay, so hopefully that already from those three, you can see there's actions and key things that you need to do. On Genius U, there's all the steps you can take as well. And also when we have our fast forward event, we actually go through the processes where you can understand these things as well. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to give a chance for Michelle to come on. Apparently, she is on Google Hangouts. So let's give it a shot and see if that's, if I can find her on there. So we'll find out pretty quickly here if that's the case. Let's have a look here. So let's see if we can find Michelle. My Google Hangout is, let's have a look here. It should be on here somewhere. Oh, there we are. Okie dokie. Aha. All right. So let's have a look. I'm going to just check in and see if I can see Michelle here. Nope, still no Michelle. So, so Michelle, for however our technical team set us up, I don't have any way to actually get you onto the control room because you're not actually showing on the control room right now. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to, oh, Shane's come back in. Shane, you have a way to help me? Yep, we're here. Nope. I know, I can see from here. Okay, Shane has verified you are not here. Thank you, Shane. Okay, so is Michelle on Skype at the moment? Yeah? Is she on?
Hey, Michelle.
She's not on the computer?
She's not.
Everyone, welcome to Michelle. Michelle, why are you on the phone? You couldn't get on Skype. Okay. All right. So Michelle. Yeah. Okay. You can see yourself. Yeah. Here you are. All right. You're on.
I can't see myself. I can see you, but I'm here on Google Hangout anyway. But that's okay.
Yeah.
So I have some slides here that I wanted to share as well. So I presume I can't do that either, right?
Nope, not at all. You can give me a link and you can put it on YouTube, and that'll work.
Okay. So I'm going to get Penny to be posting the link for me on there when we go to that, because I wanted to share with people a way that they can actually get connected up in the way that you were talking about the first three already, that we can be sharing with them live at an upcoming event we've got in Australia, which is going to be our Fast Forward Business event. So, like, one of the things you were talking about, Roger, is that it's easier now to set up a global small business than it is to even have a small business. And certainly those are things that I've been working with and learning from you in how I talk about power dynamics. I'm based here in Perth at the moment. My team are based in the UK and South Africa, and you're over in Bali. And I've actually been doing that and had the intention from day one to follow these principles, which I know you're going to be sharing at our upcoming event as well. And the first thing you talked about, which was getting connected, it's interesting, like over the previous years, less and less people were coming to events and were sort of staying and doing more stuff online. But there's a shift now. We're seeing people turning up to events, and we've actually got an event coming in Perth and Brisbane over the next 2 weeks. We've got a Fast Forward Business event in Perth next weekend on the 14th and 15th, then Brisbane on the 21st and 22nd. Do you want to share a bit more about what you're going to be covering at that event? I know some of these principles also, but what can people expect when they come to Fast Forward?
Oh yeah, okay. So we're running our Fast Forward event in Perth, in Brisbane. This is happening in the next couple of weeks, and it's a 2-day event, and it is where we're actually going through the top trends. So if you missed the last webinar, which we had last week, maybe Penny, if you can post a link on that as well. In fact, the slides from that webinar, we put them on SlideShare. They got picked up by SlideShare. They were featured in the business section on SlideShare as well. So they kind of like caught their attention of the biggest slide sharing platform which is out there. And that really was because we were talking about 3 of the top 10 trends. So here is like the featured business section on SlideShare. You can't see on my screen right now, but let me just share my screen so you can see it. So here basically is the slides you can kind of see up here. And as I kind of like scroll through this, you'll see the slides which you can kind of look at for the top 3 are down here. This is the top 3 trends. So this was up a week ago. You can also, the link is also here. So I'll post that into the post here. So you can look at that on YouTube now as well. But basically, everything that we're going to be going through is very much exactly the things we're talking about right now on this call, which is, okay, so if I am going to get clear on my customer, if I'm going to clear on who I am, and especially the next 2 steps that are about to come up, okay, if I'm going to get those things done, what are the best ways for me to do it personally for myself? So it's all about your personal path. It's not about following some formula that works for someone else but won't work for you. And that's the most important thing we do every time is we start with who are you, where are you at, what's your level of expertise, so you're not in a situation where you start feeling, stupid or overwhelmed or, under-resourced to be able to move forward, right? I mean, there's no point going to someone and saying, right, go climb Everest when they're just starting their journey, right? I mean, that's immediately, or go on the black run on a ski slope. You immediately are taking away confidence. You're immediately taking away the ability to get things going. So absolutely, this is about each person going their own path. Everyone who comes for the Fast Forward, they actually have that opportunity to go through that over the 2 days and also get to see all the things that we're doing around the world now that we have got this pretty huge momentum with entrepreneurs coming on board. It's not just about what you learn, it's also about what you end up being able to experience in terms of connecting with others as well. There's a link here as well to the YouTube video of the last one. So if you're thinking, is this going to be worth my time, you can even have a look at that and you'll see. But I would say definitely, I know we've got something we're doing a little bit different this week for everyone listening in as well, right, Michelle?
Yeah, I've got an exciting opportunity for people who want to come along and join us for actually not just Perth and Brisbane, but also the Melbourne event and Auckland event in June and even the London event in September, because I know we've got people dialing in from all around the world, but specifically the 2 events we've got coming up in the next few weeks. So, we've got a pretty exciting opportunity for those of you, especially if you've not been to one of these events before. And I know we have a lot of people who return year after year to this event because every year is different content. In fact, I travel around with Roger to these events, and I'm going to let you know it's not just every year it's different content, it's actually every event. So between the Perth and the Brisbane, it will actually be different content because that's the speed at which the technology is changing. So definitely this is a great event to make sure you're coming to every year. For those of you who've not been before, you've not experienced it, you've not already got your ticket for the 2 days, normally a ticket for the 2 days costs $39. And of course you get all the bonuses for those 2 days. There's about $4,000 worth of bonuses included. You get to take a profile test and give you some vouchers off products and all kinds of groovy stuff as well. But if you've not been to this event before, a really simple way for you to experience what Roger's been sharing here today, what he shared on the webinar last week, is you can come along for the first day on the Saturday completely free. So there's no charges at all. You come completely free for of clear stuff and trends that Roger's going to be sharing. And Penny is going to be posting now the special link for you to actually come and register completely free. So you can just do that now. You can come to Perth, come to Brisbane, or any of the other cities around the world as well. Just go ahead, click on, get yourself a free ticket. And of course, tell your friends about it as well, because if they've not been to the event before, they can come and join us on the Saturday. So love to see as many of you as possible. First event next weekend in Perth at the Hilton Hotel.
Got it. Awesome.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Say bye to Michelle. Okay, here we go. So it's on, okay, so we've got, okay, so it's on YouTube, it's on Google. Come along. I mean, and by the way, the reason that we're doing this, we already have some, 1,000+ people who are coming along, and we wanted to make sure that those who had not yet made a decision to come along have a chance to sample it, especially because we have all our partnership programs for our global partners. We've got, you know, our Genius U is going to be in 10 different languages. We have got partnerships with, you know, a lot of the top New York Times bestselling authors. We've got the JJ Virgin, you know, our Genius Guide to Health coming up. We just launched the Jack Canfield Genius Guide to Success. So all these different people who are coming on board, we're looking for good partners to join us as well. That's all happening on a Saturday. So if you're trying to figure out, well, how do I get into a community of people where I can find out what is going on around the world, especially for the next 2 steps I'm going to go through, well, then come along and join us, because this is what we're doing on a regular basis. And even when we run our iLab programs, which are our 30-day accelerators here, you know, we're always finding on every one of them, there's people who end up moving to Bali, becoming part of our network. And that's really all to do with the fact that when you actually see how to make sure you can run a business from anywhere, then the question is, well, why would I be where I am? Why would I not travel to other places and be around inspiring people that can actually inspire me also, not just with the inspiration, but with the information, which is going to allow me to get where I want to get to, right? Okay, so with that being said, let me jump right back in now. I'm going to share my screen again, right? So this is where I'm going to go into the next 2 steps here. And this is my entire screen, so it might look a bit weird for a second, but bear with me, all right? So here we go. And we will, at the very end, do a bit of a Q&A. So we started a little late. We had some technical issues, but we'll be going right through to 9:30 our time, and then we'll add a little bit of Q&A to the end of it as well. You can see my screen now. And what I'm going to share back here on our notes is I'm going to share here. And you can start posting any questions that come up as I go through this final part here, right? And then what I'll do, I think, is I'll basically get Michelle to post the questions she has on Skype to Sandra, and then I'll basically take it from there in terms of those questions that Michelle gives me, instead of me kind of going through and looking for them all myself as well, right? So here, basically, is step number 4. Because you're probably thinking, okay, well, I kind of think I know where I'm at already, so I can definitely get clear on who I am. I am connected to people, so I can see what they're doing, but I'm not sure how that's relevant to me. I do have a better sense of who my customers are, and now I can get very clear on that. But still the question is, well, how do I actually make all this flow, right? Well, think about that. Think about plugging in. You're plugging in now the plug to the electric plug into the socket. It doesn't mean there's anything flowing. You still got to turn the switch to turn it on. So what do you do to turn the switch to turn it on? This connecting to flow is about finding and adopting the mobile model, not just any model, not the model that means that you've got to stay in your city or stay in one place, but the mobile model, which means you can move, that works today. Because I can tell you already, the mobile model that worked 5 years ago, which was all based on email marketing, no longer works today. The mobile model 5 years ago that worked on basically buying properties and then seeing them appreciate no longer works today. So all the models that were working have changed. So you need to know what's working today. Now, obviously, if you know where you are and where you're going, which is 2 and 3, like who you are and who your customers are, then when you're looking for models that work today to create profitable flow based on number 2 and 3, then you're now finding the personalized model that works for you. And I'm going to give you some examples of this so you can see how effective this is once I get into it, right? And here you're seeing here, this here, you might have seen this image before. It's an image where the one on the bottom left is actually created with a formula, right? It's basically algorithms that created a fractal pattern. The one here on the right is obviously a tree. The one up here is actually like an inside of a kidney. This one here is a river delta. Flow always works the same way. Flow always fractals out. Where there's flow showing up, it always branches into more flow. And now what that means is when you get tapped into the models that work, then it's quite easy to create flow from there. But if you're not digging off a river and you're in a desert, that's not digging a river, that's digging a hole. So it's really important you're starting from where the flow is and you're saying, well, that's working right now, how can I do the same? in the context I'm about to give you in terms of connecting to flow, one thing really important is to understand the wealth dynamic square, which many of you are familiar with. The reason it's so important to understand this is because how you deliver value has changed over time in terms of what works most successfully in every different industry. So for example, there was a time that creative value was strong enough, which meant that you could actually just, you could show up with an album and people would buy the music, right? Or you could show up with, a speech you wanted to give or a coaching program you wanted to deliver, and people would be there willing to listen to what you had to say to decide if they wanted to buy it. We know today that no longer happens, right? So as a result, the way you deliver value has as much to do not just with value, but with timing. And sometimes it's about how much value you deliver over time before you actually start asking for any income coming the other way. So that changes with every different industry. Take the music industry, for example. The people in the music industry making the most money now are not the ones charging for the music up front. They're the ones giving the music away, and then they're charging for the concert, right? And so in the same way, I have seen many people who are coaches, who are mentors, who now do that. They're more likely to give away. I do that. I give away all the content, and the people who actually like it enough that they actually want a deeper experience, well, then we offer those deeper experiences. But it means I'm not spending any time knocking on doors, asking people if they want to do business with me. The right people show up in the right time. And so that's a different model than it was 5 years ago. If you take even more important, the difference of steel, which is talking about how you do things or how you multiply something, it's the way you leverage your value. Maybe you've got some really great concepts or really great ideas, and when you speak to people one-on-one, they want to do business with you, but you're thinking, geez, this is no way for me to grow. Maybe I should multiply. Maybe I should take some people's advice and put this into some online course or something. Well, there was a time when people would buy online courses, but the bottom of the market has fallen out. Sorry, the middle of the market has fallen out, which meant people would take things for free now, whereas before they might have paid $100. People aren't buying things for $200 or $300 in the same way they were. They'd rather get something for free, or they'd rather pay more money on the Magnify side, join a mastermind and invest more money into something which is invitation only or which is more exclusive. Come along for an event, which is more like a 5-day event or a 2-week event where they can have a real experience as opposed to just go to a seminar room for 3 days. And so understanding that the patterns have changed, and you don't need me to tell you generally what the pattern is. You need to find out in your own industry, based on who you are and where you want to go, what's actually going on in there. Now, the good news is, if you join a network like ours or one of the co-working networks, you'll find that there are many people in there that you can choose from already, right? So this isn't about having to go searching for them. It's about being in a community where you actually find and attract the people you're most similar to already, because you already have connection to those people as well. Now, this connecting to flow, I'm going to give you some examples of that in a moment. But let me add in number 5, which is probably the most important of all. And it's understanding that you're not trying to create a machine which you then have to go in and maintain the whole time. You're trying to create something which is linked to both the team and the technology. So it's not just a technology-based business. It's not just a partnership-based business, but something that's linked to both the people side and the process side. And it's linked to it in such a way that you're able to sustain and grow flow naturally. A bit like a garden is very different from a machine, right? You've got a machine, you've got to keep on maintaining it. A garden, if you're actually really enjoying being in the garden, it's actually quite easy to maintain that garden. In fact, it doesn't even feel like hard work when you're doing that. And more importantly, the garden grows on its own without you having to, you have to just clear the weeds out of the way, it will grow. As opposed to a machine where you've got to keep on fixing it, it keeps on breaking down, you've got to keep on adding new things as well. And what you're seeing here, and I did this in a recent video, but I'm going to give this a different aspect of it as well, is if you're going to be able to travel anywhere in the world, you want to know, are the most important things in my business being taken care of? And whether that's automating or outsourcing those elements, you'll notice that these things are very important, right? Obviously, if you have other people doing things, like if you have a traffic light which is directing the traffic, you don't have to be there in the middle of the road directing the traffic. So clearly, when you automate something, it means you don't have to be part of it anymore. When you outsource it, someone else who's an expert is in charge of that thing. The problem is, for most of us, we're automating and outsourcing things before we've actually created that attraction or before there's flow, which means we've now got this amazing website that no one's buying anything from, right? And so you don't want to be putting any time at all into automating and outsourcing until flow has already started. Another way to say that, don't try and sell a product online unless you've sold it offline. Don't write a book until you've already got like a bunch of people who've pre-ordered it, right? So there's always a way to create flow before you then go into the leverage side and start getting out there trying to basically leveraging it up. So team is a way of leveraging it up. Technology is a way of leveraging it up. Most importantly, These are like the skeletal system. There's for any of you who are on the medical side, you know there are 6 systems that make up our human body. There's the skeletal system, which is our structure. Your technology is like this. If you don't have strong technology that can track all your data, well, then you're going to have a pretty floppy body, right? You're not going to, doesn't matter how much muscles you've got in the body, it's still not something which is going to be able to move on its own. So you have to have the right technology. The good news is there's better technology now than ever. The team side is then the muscle side. It's what actually makes the technology move. Technology on its own will just go brittle, it will go out of date, and it's not going to help anyone 6 months from now. But if you've got technology which is supporting the muscle system, which is the team, then the team will keep on exercising and updating that skeletal system, right? So these two are the fundamental cores in everything we do. Then there's 4 systems that allow flow to happen, because skeletal and muscular systems themselves do not create flow. The other 4 create the flow. So these are the 4 that link, as you'll see in a moment, to the wealth dynamic square. You have, first of all, this one here we'll talk about, which is cash. So cash is like, how's my money flowing? How much money am I even trying to create here? So for example, if you say, right, I want to make, I want to make 5,000 a month, I want to make 10,000 a month, then it's like, well, what am I actually tracking to know how much I'm making day by day? And how do I know that I'm on the right track and that I'm actually putting my time in the right efforts because it's actually generating that cash or not, right? Now, the cash is the end result. So it's not like if the cash isn't coming in, you can fix that by just praying the cash is going to come in. But the cash will be the results of the other 3 things. So cash here, number 1, is knowing that there's a way for you to set up a structure, which is like your respiratory system. It's like your lungs, right? It's actually where you actually are breathing it in, breathing it out, but that oxygen is worth nothing if you don't have the other 3. So now you've got the cash where you're saying, well, cash is important. This is like the metal side, which is the how. And those who are more steel energy are really good at managing and tracking this side. But there's a second aspect, which is the assets. These are your products. Because products, whether they're a service, whether they're a product, is only when a product exchanges and someone actually is willing to buy it that you're actually going to create cash in the first place. So if I say something like, well, I want to make 5,000, and this is going to allow me to be able to move, and if I had 5,000, what am I going to do? I'm going to have 5 customers paying me 1,000 each, or I'm going to have 1 customer paying me 5,000, depending on the model. If I say, well, it's 1 customer paying me 5,000, right? Well, how can I prove that already and get that 1 customer coming on board, right? And the number of people I've seen who've done this really well within our network, where they'll say, geez, I was putting all my time into actually managing a system, and then I realized that I only wanted to make 50,000, that if I just find 5 people paying me 10,000 each and setting up a mastermind, I'd already have the money to pay for half my year. They went out, they made the phone calls, they got those people on board, and straight away, they hit the numbers they wanted to hit, and they then had the time to start building the business while they could travel, right? So you're always saying, well, the cash comes from a certain number of assets, and there's a way to track that. And it's the tempo, the traders, the tempo energy that are best at actually being able to track how many products are we moving, how much are we selling, and are we even at the right price point in the first place? So this assets directly links to cash. Relationships, which are the people side, will directly link to the assets. And it doesn't start by saying, do I have a customer? It starts by saying, well, do I have someone who's engaged with me? Do I have someone joining my network? So this is the people side. And the people who are the blaze energies are the best at tracking this. So you want to make sure you've got your CRM system set up. There's a whole bunch of systems we go through at Fast Forward where we'll share with you exactly what it is that you're doing to track this. So that's your relationship side. And that's basically the heart. So you've got the lungs, you've got the stomach, you've got the heart. Now you've got the blood pumping, and the cash then actually goes towards actually building the relationships. And that's one of the most important things. It's not about you just pulling cash out and then hoping the business is going to survive. As Walt Disney says, we don't make films to make money, we make money to make films. It's to follow your passion, is to grow the team, because that's going to make the team want to stay with you longer. It's going to allow you to actually have the money you want, but for them to have the money they want as well, because the last thing you want is to actually set all this up automatically and then find the team disappear, and now you're back to having to go chase after all the holes that you've now created within your business. And then the final thing is engagements, which actually create the relationships. Like, okay, what are the interactions now taking place between myself? How many times am I sending out content? How many times am I sending out messages? How much am I replying to people in a way that I'm actually tracking all of that? And all of this can track automatically. When you have these 4, which link to, like, assets are the digestive system, cash is the respiratory system, so this is the stomach, this is the heart, relationships is, relations with the heart, cash is the lungs, and that's the circulatory system, and then you have engagement with the nervous system. This is the brain at the top here, right? And basically between those 4, you've got everyone within your team. You do need a team to make this happen. Good news is within our network, you can find the right team. And then whatever it is you're doing within your business, you're going to find it's within one of these different areas. Okay, let me give you some more examples. I'll give you 3 very quick examples which is going to kind of wrap this part of it up. And then we're going to take a couple of questions here as well. Here's a couple of examples of people outside the ones I just shared earlier, because you can already go back to that group that I shared earlier. And whether it's someone like, what Alex is doing at Megazip, where now he's tracking his products, he's got a whole different way he's building a community and interactions within it, which is allowing it to grow without him. So he's not having to just go out there chasing the business. This is exactly what Nick is doing right now in terms of having partnerships, and he's actually tracking his measures as much by what are the new partnerships I'm setting up as he is by what's the money that then comes out from those. Easy VA is all about everything Monty's doing is about saying, right, what am I tracking in terms of interactions, the events, the people I'm in front of, and the connections I have. And then you've also got what I just mentioned earlier with Donna, is that so much of it is the people side with her. Okay, what are the partnerships I'm setting up? How am I serving them? How am I helping them make money in such a way I can make money? And by tracking those things and knowing what she's aiming to do, she can share that with her team, and they start tracking those things as well. And we use a whole number of different systems like Basecamp, like Salesforce, to do all that tracking automatically. But again, all of that would be useless to do if we didn't start by saying it was what would allow us to design the life we wanted and allow us to actually design a system to support our customers in the way for them as well. So here's 3 very quick examples of others who have done this in a slightly different way, but where you get a bit of a flavor of this as well. Example number 1 is here, Judy. So I've worked with Judy for a year now. When I first met Judy, she had this vision of wanting to go to places like Peru. She wanted to go traveling, but it's pretty expensive. She's based in Australia. Getting a group to go out there every year was a bit of a struggle. She would find people, but because of the high cost to do it, she didn't have a solid business that was making money all year round. So what we did was we said, well, let's set this up in such a way that you can do that. Let's actually create gears in your business. So there's the first gear, which is people actually came along to her evening sessions where she had some great speakers. She had drum making kits. She had then a second gear, which was this program here called Reconnecting Gondwana, which could be done within Australia. It was actually taking a group to Red Rock, to Uluru, and this is where she ran this in November 6th to 12th, 2014. And from March last year through to November, she had people just booking into this, and she brought all of her gurus from around the world into Australia as opposed to what she was doing the other way around, and she changed her price points. And by making that shift, people started naturally connecting with her. She found partners who wanted to work with her. So she actually managed to fill this really well. That allowed her then to fill up now her Peru trip that's coming up, and she has other trips that are now taking place as well. And now she's getting connected in with the people who are bringing in the Dalai Lama to Australia, which is happening this year. And all this is happening as she's able to then go on with these different trips herself and living the life where she wants to be, all because she just redesigned the business using those same 5 steps we went in. She got connected to a network, which happened to be ours. She then got really clear on who she wanted to be and what her life would look like. She got connected to who their customers were, what their price points were, and then what the models were that were already working out there that we walked through together. And off the back of that, she then measured the right things that allowed her to now have a business that can keep on just rolling and growing. This next year, she'll be running another program like this. And her revenues in the last year have more than tripled from what they were the year earlier, simply by just redesigning based on these 5 steps. Here's a second example. This here is John Williams. So John's based in the UK, and he has a book called Screw Work, Let's Play, which is all about how you can actually get paid to do the things you love. And he's now get that next step up to say, well, I do what I love, but I really want to have more travel time. He already uses Wealth Dynamics in the things that he's done. We awarded him for being one of our top affiliates, so he's already earning money outside of just what he's doing with his own business. But through the work we did together, which is let's build a brand and something that can stand without you, he has now launched this, which is called the Screw Work Academy Idea Lab, where there's a challenge. And by the way, I'm showing this as examples, but you can connect to any of these people you like as well and be part of their network too, because they've all got great communities. So here's find your 6-figure idea, start it on the side, make your first £10,000. And this is basically a challenge where a group come together, they get invited into this. You can then go through these different modules to actually set up your idea, make sure you're monetizing it. And this is something which, just by going to this page here, which is screwwork.academy, you can be part of John's network. And this is allowing him to have a very different way. Here's a picture of him at Vision Builders, somewhere it looks like Vision Builders. But where basically he is already out there enjoying a life where he can work from anywhere. And the key thing is actually getting connected in with someone that is doing this and has a community doing this. And of course, every time he does this himself, he learns more, just like I do with the things we do as well. And he connects with other people, right? So here, for example, is Marianne Canwell, who runs Free Range Humans, which is very much the same kind of concept. She has a tribe She's been featured in all different press, and now she travels around the world, and I'm sure she'll be back in Bali very soon as well, which is where I last saw her here too. And finally, here is an example of someone who you could imagine would never get out of their practice, because Anthony Chadwick, based in the UK, is a vet. And what Anthony did was he set up something called Webinar Vet, which allowed him to basically have an online business, but an online business based on a membership. And this is one where he just took a need. He said, I love animals, I love my vet industry, but there's a real need, which is people need to have ongoing training, so I'll provide that to them. And he basically took models that were already working, like webinars, and then he did exactly the same thing by following those 5 steps. And as a result of that, now he's actually not just built this in such a way, he's not even the one giving these webinars. These are all for vets themselves. This also allows him to actually now get niched in. So he has cattle membership, he has equine membership, sheep society. Like this is all in different areas. And even recently he's branched out to pet webinars, which is basically for pet owners, emergency first aid for small furry pets. He runs a virtual pet congress now. He can do this from anywhere in the world. And the bottom line is he's doing it because he loves it. And the truth is, if he has some tough months and he's not making the kind of money he'd want to, he still loves what he does. So this is not about having an exit strategy, it's about having a success strategy. Not how do I get out of this, it's how do I stay in this and make sure whatever you're doing, just like having a garden you'd love to have time in, even if it needs some extra attention or a big storm just come through, you'd want to put that time into it because you love it. So with that being said, with those elements just as examples where each one of these have taken these same 5 steps and followed them in a way that's personalized for themselves, come along for our Fast Forward event, go look at that first webinar. It links into the industries and the technologies, which I've been starting to share on some of these technologies. It also links to basically how we're going from 12 profit streams, which is where people were out trying to make money, to now 12 purpose streams, where everyone I just mentioned, they're all linked in one way or another to these purposes. Whether it is celebrating artisanship, which is obviously what you're seeing someone like Judy do, whether it's education equality for all, which is what you see Anthony do. It's like they're focusing on what they're doing. Yes, they're making money, but more importantly, they're uniting people to a purpose. And this is the big payoff of being able to work anywhere. It forces you to be thinking about the bigger vision and the bigger mission. Because the truth of it is only when you think of the bigger purpose that you actually can see that by you thinking bigger, the world becomes smaller. Okay, we have 3 questions. So I'm going to go through a number of the questions that we have here and give you some answers to these questions. And then we're going to call it a wrap on here. Like I shared earlier, there's links on there as well. And just so that the link is on this video too, I think that there is a link on here that we can go to. Is it the Fast Forward link? Is that the main one or it's a different one? It's on the Skype. Okay, I'm going to Skype messages for the link. And it is under your one, Sandra? Nope, I don't have it yet. Okay. Oh, you posted it?
No, I have it. So it's posted on Google.
On Google, okay. So it's posted in the YouTube comments as well. All mine at the top is just where it's shown it. So fast. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So I will open this one here on the free ticket one, so you can see what it looks like. I'd love to see you if you'd like to come along, and we will get into a more personalized path once we see where you are and where you're going. No, that link didn't work. So maybe I need to click on this one here. All right, I'm going to try here instead. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. So here's the link. That's the link here. It's just entrepreneurinstitute.org free ticket. You just enter your information details, and we will get you on board, and we'd love to see you there. All right. Okay, so questions. Question number 1 is from Alexander in relation to getting connected. Right on. I have heard affiliate and partners are the best way to make money now. Oh, with Entrepreneur Institute. Sounds like you're talking about network marketing. Is that what you mean? No. I'm not talking about network marketing at all. Look, here's the thing, right? Like there are people who do. We're not a network marketing company, but there are companies who are network marketing companies. And if you are part of a network marketing company, there's nothing wrong with that. In the same way, there's nothing wrong with being in futures trading or being in property investment or any other vehicle. At the end of the day, it's a leveraged form. But if it's not aligning to what you would do in your ideal scenario, even if you're not making money, like what you do for free, if it's not aligning with the ideal customers you're only spending time with, which means it's not even about the process or the leverage, it's about what you're building, then it doesn't make sense anyway. And it's the same if you want to be one of our partners, absolutely, you can come along, join us, and you can be one of our partners. But we only take on partners where we know is that they're not just doing it for the money. They're not just doing it because they think it's an easy way to get to the money. They're doing it because they're actually really passionate about it, and it's going to be giving them the life that they want, because that's the only way to make it sustainable. Like, anyone who tells you that, like, you know, getting a business is easy to get started and you're going to make money straight away is lying to you, because it isn't that easy. It does take effort. It does take time. But and it's just like growing a garden. If you don't have the patience to grow a garden, you're never going to have that sustainable wealth coming your way. But if you say, well, I'm going to experience wealth just from the experience of growing the garden, now you're on the right track, right? And if you like the idea of being around a network like ours, being involved in it in a way that you're actually serving people by sharing it, and you're willing to put the time in to actually learn how to do that, then yes, we do have all these different partnerships you can do with us, but it's not a multi-tiered thing or anything like that. It's very much what you do, you end up earning, and you can earn really good money from it, but it's basically out of you actually delivering great value, and then building a system or building a platform which allows you to have a market that you're now, or a community you're now looking after as well. And the second question, are we running any events in Europe? We are running the London events, so they're going to be taking place in September, and we'll be giving you some links to those later in this year. Second question we have, having taken the test, can you use the Genius U test to know yourself? Yes, you absolutely can. All the resources are in Genius U. So if you go to Genius U, you'll find that they're all there. I'm just opening Genius U now so you can have a look at it. And what you'll see here when I go in is it automatically recognizes you, like it recognizes who I am. So it comes to the home page, and then it basically takes me through to my page here. And you can see, you know, I can go look at my community, see the people I'm connected up with. But the one which is the most, and I can see what my profile looks like compared to others as well. But the one which I would say is the most valuable for the learning side, so here's my profile, here's my testimonials, things like that, is this one up here, the missions. Because on the missions, this allows you, if you're thinking, I just want to get really clear on being successful, start the Genius Guide to Success with Jack Canfield. We just launched that a couple of weeks ago. Or if you're saying, I just want to get cash flow positive, start this mission here. It takes you through every single step. Or I want to find my passion, start the passion test one. This is the one that we did with Chris and Janet Atwood. And this is all free. So just go through it, take the test, get to learn about yourselves. But again, don't just do it on your own. Do it in a community, because that way you're going to be able to really get the support and the context to help you move forward as well. And the final question, how do you know your customer when they are in several different countries and maybe even in different languages? That's a really good question. The way you do that is through partnerships. So we have partnerships in Japan, for example. We'll look for someone who can speak English, who is interested in what we're doing. And so we'll have someone like Tamami who has gone out and set up in Japan. And we now have the Japan Wealth Dynamics, Association. I think that's what it's called. Oh, I got the wrong one here. Oh, here it is. This is, it's all in Japanese, so I can't actually read it here. But this is Japan. Here's our Wealth Dynamics. This is Tamami having set up this site. She has a whole group here, so we can go and have a look at the group. And you can see on Facebook here, this is the Japan Wealth Dynamics Association site, and it's all in Japanese, so I didn't understand very much of it. But the great thing is even now you can translate things right now straight away on here. A good example of someone very recently who got connected to us was Nadasit, who's in Thailand, right? So we have Wealth Dynamics Thailand, which he set up, and he's done the same thing. This is like all within like about 6 months. Into their flow as well, right? And that's for me, the real key to all of this. Is where I get such a buzz, is seeing people in all different countries that are all getting involved in the things that we're doing, very much as a result of following exactly the same 5 steps. And that's exactly what Nadasit did. If he had just tried to figure it out for himself, it wouldn't have worked. But he's earning a lot more getting connected in with someone who's in flow already. Here's Nadasit here. Here's this whole group. And I get so much reward from looking at a field like this, seeing all these people that are using our products and loving it. And of course, there are people who I've never had a chance to meet yet, but I'm sure I will one day. So with all of that being said, what I want to do to finish off is I want to say thank you to, number one, Michelle, for being able to be a remote host on this call. Number 2, to the team. We had Suraj, we had Shane, we had Sandra, a whole bunch of people giving this an experiment for the first time. And number 3, to yourselves for listening in and just hearing how you can go about taking these 5 steps. I hope you can see that as long as you focus at these 5 steps, the journey itself is part of the reward. Start with the connecting, then make sure that you're actually now, after the connecting, getting to know yourself really clearly. Then make sure that you are making sure you know your customer very clearly, and by finding others very much like you in your industry, you'll find those customers. And then make sure that you're connecting into that flow and growing that flow, both in terms of making sure you're starting it and doing that by knowing what are the best models you can be using, and then sustaining it, which is knowing what you're actually measuring and knowing it isn't that many things. You really only need to measure about half a dozen things to actually be on track and to be traveling while you've got your iPad on the beach, watching how the business is going and making sure as you're going forward, you're caring about it. And that's my final thing I'd like to share. Coming back to my slides again, the final thing I'd like to share is you might have noticed that if you take, oops, that's the wrong one. Here's my slides. If you take these slides and you go back to our one here, cash, assets, relationships, engagements, the CARE. CARE is about taking care of business. It's about you really showing you care. And the biggest issue is the people who have the best intentions of wanting to have a great business, but then they're careless. They are not taking care. Your business cannot survive, and you're going to find yourself having to go back to the drawing board again. But you start with something where at the core of it is how much you care for your customers, for your future self, for the mission that you're on, and you're going to find that that attracts the right people to you and attracts the right resources and the right opportunities. So you're always staying in flow, and you're enjoying that travel and that ability to be anywhere in the world while that flow is taking place and while you keep on growing that flow as well. So thank you everyone so much for being part of it. Keep on putting comments in on YouTube. I'll go onto YouTube afterwards and I'll actually add any extras on there as well as we go. I'll also add the extra links that I put on here that I haven't had a chance to put on there yet. So keep the conversation there going. Do share this as well if you found out of value to others out there that you know could really do with this as well. And make sure you follow those links. And I look forward to seeing you, hopefully, in one of our events coming up. And we'll have some fun then. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'm coming back to my main screen now. And with all of that being said, we are about to call it a day on this here in Bali. Signing off. Speak to you all later. Bye.